let's take the next step in the quadrant of problem solving, or the dimension of problem solving. So I want to talk about how a leader can bring a solution state of mind to their team, especially when we talk about interpersonal dynamics, like the way your teammates are interacting or not interacting, right? And so I want to use a story of a real life story. I won't name companies or anything or people, but a real life story where a certain district manager, and this happened many, many times in this industry, a certain district manager was trying to have collaboration happen between their teammates, right? And to create a synergy between teammates, and was really bumping into like a brick wall, right? And so the lesson that I want to give you is really about how to empower people and how to create collaboration and to identify the hidden element that's in the way, right? And so if I can go so far as to say on this one, I want to say that part of what the problem was the ego of some of the players involved, right? And so if I could say it this way, your ego is the problem. And so here, how do we actually solve the problem? Well, we have to figure out, how do we get the ego out of the way? How do you as a leader dissolve the ego that might be in the way between your teammates, right? And so let's put some meat on the bone so you can dig into what I'm trying to say. So I used to do a lot of consultation with pharmacy companies that run pharmacies, right? And so what I noticed in these companies and in these pharmacies is you had, the division of labor set up something like this. You would have like a district manager that was overseeing numerous stores, and you had a store manager that was responsible for the whole store, everything in it, including the pharmacy. But then you had a pharmacy manager who's responsible for the pharmacy itself, and this is where the problem begins. Often the pharmacy manager and the store manager wouldn't see eye to eye. They wouldn't communicate very well. And often there was even like maybe a little bit of a lack of respect between them. And so the district managers would often come to me and say, how do we solve this problem? How do we get people to communicate, to collaborate, to work together? Like it seemed to be like a mystery. And I said, okay, let's take a look at what's going on here, right? And this is important as a leader. You have to be willing to step back from the world in front of you, right? The world of doing, the world of the conscious mind of what you're looking at, and step back into the subconscious, into the world of being. Remember, the whole concept of the leadership space, this whole pedagogy, right? This whole sort of teaching formula or understanding is really rooted in you being self-aware of who you're being with people. And one of the ways you get self-aware is you notice that you are looking at life, at circumstances, at relationships, and at people through a filter. Remember that? It's called the interpretation filter. There's a video on the channel about the interpretation filter. What happens is, often when you're not getting good results with people, or you're not having good interactions, it's because you have a filter that's stopping you. Maybe you judge them as worthless or stupid or annoying or irritating, and you're going into the interaction in a way that's making them shut down. Even though you're saying, hey, it's so great to see you, I can't wait to talk to you, but inside you're thinking, oh my God, another freaking hour with this idiot. I got to get out of here. What time is lunch? Like people feel how you think about them. People feel it. It's through the principle of resonance, which is another point in the book. Actually, I don't even have a copy of the book up here. Okay. So what I want to teach you is that in this scenario, you had a pharmacy manager who had a very high level of education. Most of these guys are doctors. They've got doctorate degrees. Whereas you have store managers who don't have quite as high a degree of education. Often these were only high school graduates, or maybe even in some circumstances, maybe they didn't even have the degree. I don't have a judgment about that, but I have to say, my experience was there was a judgment between these two people. Okay, and so what did that judgment do? It created a filter that blocked these two people from being able to connect and collaborate. They couldn't talk to each other because there was a lack of respect. And I'm going to be blunt. I personally think it was the ego of the pharmacy manager that was stopping it. And it doesn't have to be that way. It could have been that the store manager had something going on in their ego toward the other person. So maybe it could be both. I don't want to lay the blame on any one particular person, but let's be honest, okay? People judge each other and it stops them from wanting to work together. So what's the solution? How do we get to a solution? This district manager ultimately needs to empower the store manager to believe in the value of their own work. This store manager is responsible for the entire place, responsible ultimately for all the sales in the pharmacy, responsible for all the logistics, responsible for all the employees, responsible for everything that's happening. And this person has got to believe that they have value, that they're worthy to communicate with this pharmacy manager. At the same time, the pharmacy manager can make it easier or harder. If the pharmacy manager with a doctorate degree thinks, why am I going to listen to you? That you don't have the education I do. You don't have the experience. You know nothing. Like, why should I? You're not my boss. You're less than me. If that's what's going on in the mindset of the pharmacy manager, the district manager's got a big problem, because you can't have this on your team. So now the question is, how does the district manager skillfully intrude, skillfully connect with this person and this person so that we can actually create some kind of connection here between these two people to get them to talk, to get them to collaborate, communicate, and solve problems? How is he going to do it? Or she going to do it? How is the district manager going to do that? Think about it for a second. If you've watched the other videos, maybe you start to see, what do you do? Well, let me assert or put out there for you that the most powerful thing the district manager can do is you have a meeting, right? You know, private meeting, and you don't come into the meeting with this heavy-handedness. Remember, the leadership space is about coming from contribution consciousness. I'm here to be of service to you. I'm here to elevate you. I'm here to have you win. So the district manager's leadership space is going to set the tone for this whole meeting. Whether it's going to go well or not is going to start with who the district manager is being. Are they bringing a hero mindset? Hey, there are solutions here. We can do something about this. Something new can emerge, and I can cause it. Or are they going to bring a victim mindset? God, I hate my job. I can't believe I got to work with these people that never respond to me. No one ever listens. It's probably not going to work, whatever, okay? The mindset of this leader is going to set the tone for this meeting. So first, this person has to check themselves. How's my leadership space? Am I choosing to come from the context of contribution? Remember the 3 C's? Choice, context, contribution. I'm coming from contribution. I want to see these guys win, okay? Now, the district manager also has to look at their filter. How am I seeing these two people? Am I judging the pharmacy manager as a jerk, as like this egocentric jerk that I have to put them down? If that's the view, if that's the filter, this is going to be an ineffective communication. Why? You see it? Why? Because this person's going to sense the judgment of their boss, and they're not going to want to be open. They might go along with it, but they're not going to really want to open. The entire goal of this meeting is to get to an authentic, open connection. Real communication. That's the goal. District manager needs to check their own filter and say, you know what? I'm not going to judge this person. I understand this person. Let me get into this person's world. Let me understand where they're coming from. They probably want to run a tight ship as fast as possible with the least amount of intrusion on their thinking, and therefore they don't want to have to respond to someone. They might not appreciate that this person has value to add. So what can I do as a leader? I can help this person feel understood by me. Secondly, I can help this person feel understood by this person. And third, I can help to create a bridge of trust by saying, how can you see the value that each other brings? And how can we trust each other to deliver value for each other for the team? Does that make sense? This person has a lot of heavy lifting to do, but that's why they're in the leadership role. So by thinking about how they're going to be in the meeting, they set the meeting up well. Now, let's take the next step. In the same way that this district manager is thinking, I got to have the right attitude, the right mindset, the right filter toward the pharmacy manager, he's got to do it for the store manager. The store manager might need support. They might need to be understood. The key is this district manager comes into this relationship with an intention to contribute, with an intention to listen, to understand, and to get into this person's world and make this person feel safe. Remember, the key to trust is psychological safety. Creating the feeling of that everything's okay. I'm not judging you. I'm not going to hurt you. I want to help you. So the leader has to apply their leadership space and create the tone for trust and communication. Now they can actually have this conversation. And what's that conversation going to look like? I think it's okay to be blunt. And how do you be blunt in a skillful way? The leader calls out the filter And the leader sets tone and say, hey guys, look, I first of all want to tell you I appreciate you, everything you do. I really acknowledge everything you do in the store. You do a great job, and I see it and I appreciate it. I do know there's some issues we're going to try to resolve, and I'm going to try to help. I appreciate you. I see the work you do. I really am proud of everything you're doing, and I appreciate you too. But I do see that there are some issues we're going to solve, and so I want to do that. And so here, let me just cut to the chase. He says, or she says, I'm just going to call out the filter. And it's good if these people know what the filter is. They should know that. Either watch a video or read the book, and so understand the filter. And then he can say, guys, look, I'm just going to call it out. I think that what's going on, there's a filter at play here, and it's stopping you guys from being able to appreciate each other and collaborate as a team. And I think what's happening is, I think you having a doctorate level education might be thinking that it's difficult to, kind of be told what to do by someone who may not have the level of education that you do. And you might even check in with them beforehand. I don't know. It depends on who you are as a leader, right? Check in with them. And then this person, you might say, look, and I get that you might feel frustrated that you're trying to run the store, but don't feel like you guys have good communication. So what I just want to say is, first of all, the way that we're going to get to teamwork is we got to appreciate each other's contributions. We got to appreciate what each person's putting into the pot, okay? Putting on the table. And so what I want you guys to do is I want you to switch roles for a second. And I want you to think about how the world works from the other person. It's called getting into the other person's world. I want the pharmacy manager to look at the store as a whole and think about what's got to happen. And go ahead, write down what you think's got to happen so you can understand. And I want the store manager to go over here and think about what's happening from the pharmacy manager's perspective. Okay, and maybe have them jot down what they think's going on and say, okay, guys, look, there's nothing here but teamwork. Right? I really respect and appreciate you, but let's find a way to collaborate and connect. What do you see? And now this person starts to communicate what this person's dealing with and what he's handling. And this person can say, you know what, that's pretty close. Good job. There's a couple other things. And then this person can learn. And this leader can create a tone of collaboration and connection that's safe, where there's trust. And then vice versa. And what happens is these people start to discover each other. And the key is that they both know that they have a supportive leader that wants to empower them each to be effective in their own field, appreciates them in their own field, but expects and demands that they have a mutual respect for each other. So no egos at play, but rather teamwork is at play. And doing that skillfully will create an opening where these people can relate with each other completely newly because you created the space for that to happen. That is how you use the leadership space to solve this kind of problem. And if you do it with the intention to be a contribution and you really want to be of service to people, you will see yourself succeed in these kind of scenarios. And that's what I wish for you.